What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. It's weird making a video while the sun is still out. Taking the day off because yesterday I was entirely exhausted for no reason. It was so bad that I fell asleep without showering with my clothes on one of those days. And there was no reason to be that tired. And the paranoia tired. Not to mention the fact YouTube decided yesterday, when a day I'm already feeling paranoid and weird, yesterday was going to be eyes wide shut day. Everything a person could ever want to know about eyes wide shut and uncomfortable facts about the world we live in. It was a bad mixture. And on top of that, maybe the adjustment, the change, is still going on because I'm still out of my video loop. Before, it was like the way your dog gets excited eating the same food every day. That's how I felt about coming home and hating shit every day or other day. And the thing is, I still feel that way, but I don't feel compelled to talk about it every day. And the variety of things I can or could talk about either is limiting or my desire to talk about them is limiting, as in I want to talk about Quentin Tarantino's German agenda, but I don't think that'll go over well with anybody. Whereas before, the consideration wouldn't have even been a thought. I'll still probably make that video, maybe this evening even, because fuck Quentin Tarantino, but we'll see. Anyway, in an effort to get back on my grind, I pulled a Kanye move the other day, and I watched How to Train Your Dragon, and I took it as seriously as I could. And there are two primary things I got out of this movie that we will go through. It's all Hierophant shit. And the way Hierophants are cool and magicians are corny sacks of shit with a shelf life. Okay, first thing, let's try to get through this. I think there's a difference between outcasts and outsiders. An outcast is a baseline human configured strangely who hasn't figured out how to make themselves, or to make their strangeness, beneficial or threatening to society and therefore have been outcast. Versus outsiders who were never in to begin with. Although both can get in. Or with adequate power build something else. And I think this entire outcast outsider situation is what defines my life. I'm watching this movie and I'm annoyed that Hiccup wants to fit in. These people hate what you are. You just pointed to all of them. And they have no interest in helping you develop yourself into what you could be. So they hate you, and if you're going to develop into anything, it'll all be on you. No traditional supports. In fact, lots of traditional resistance. Why do you want to be one of these people? But that's more of the second part. We'll get to that. I get what they're doing here with this movie. Instead of going out to slay the dragon, you can go out and tame and train the dragon, fulfilling the hero's journey in a nicer way. But why, again, why would you do that? They dropped a bad dragon reference in the movie. They know what's up. You need to fuck the dragon. Maybe this is a barbarian versus savage situation. I don't remember. Oh boy, was this? This might have been one of those grimdark channels. I don't think that's what it was. Anyway, someone in a video described the difference between a barbarian and a savage. Barbarians and savages both contain within them this wild nature. The difference is the barbarian goes back to society and both civilizes himself and tries to wild up society a little bit, whereas the savage says, fuck society. Why would you want to give people the benefits of this hard work you've done that they rejected, hate, fear initially, and they'll probably hate, reject, and fear now, even in its pure form, now that you've refined it, until you can prove that you're a threat? Syndrome and Hiccup are essentially the same person, except Hiccup is the barbarian and Syndrome is the savage. But I like savages more. Anyway, my point is, I think my life is defined by this outcast status. You do have the opportunity to pull some prodigal son shit, but you didn't leave under prodigal son circumstances. You were outcast. So why would you want to come back in from the cold? They wouldn't let you back in from the cold unless you could force them, or you could hand them ready-made money or something equivalent to it. When you're outcast, you are very aware of what you are, or where you came from, which is a position of normality. But where you are, where you spend most of your time, is in the outside with outsiders. Or actually, probably it's more, if you're spending time with anybody, it's more outcasts. But you are more likely to run into outsiders as outsiders. I'm trying to find a sophisticated way to say I want to fuck the things that are incapable of reintegrating, or rather, integrating at all in the first place. Because as an outcast, your only ticket back inside, if that's where you want to go, is to refine something from the outside, alchemize something from the outside into something golden or nuclear. And you can do that. And outsiders, beings of the outside, can probably help you with that, but why would you want to take from the only people who will ever help you to go back to the people who have done nothing but hurt and hate you, so you can you can hand over what you've made to them and then turn it on the only people who have ever helped you? Go outside. Stay outside. You're already touching grass. Stay in the grass. I'm reviewing all the files now, not only of the women I've loved most in life, but also the people I've been closest with. And none of them are normal. None of them are insiders. None of them are even outcasts. The ones I've been closest with throughout my life have all been bona fide outsiders. And maybe they're on a mission to get inside and then stay inside, the same way we're on a mission to, say, get off the boat and go all the way. But I'm realizing I'm not at all interested in or attracted to the people you're supposed to be interested in or attracted to. I was watching lots of mental health videos and they were talking about patterns, and they had a psychological version of the thing I talk about, dating the same person over and over again. But they say, one, it's not mystical to them at all, but you can't be happy until you escape this pattern. And I don't view it that way at all. One, there is a mystical element to this because the patterns are too precise. And also, this feels too important. As in, you're presented this challenge because you're supposed to figure it out. And if you escape from it, I don't see how a person could be happy unless they spent the rest of their lives convincing themselves they are happy. Because what you've done is run away from one of the only real and important aspects of your life. You fail and get hurt because this is a challenge. It's not supposed to be simple. The goal isn't to run away, the goal is to rise and figure out how to overcome this. And I think you can do it. Because interestingly, it's not like each situation is this totally unique thing. Superficially, the situation is unique, each situation is unique. But the core issue you're dealing with is always the same. It is unsettlingly identical each time. And whether as an outcast your goal is to re-become an insider or to go full outside, this is something you'll need to do if you want to swing it big anyway. You can synthesize small amounts of gold, but to get the dragon's hoard, you won't get there in any easy, palatable way. It'll be miserable. And maybe this is a spectrum, this is all a spectrum. On one side, let's say on the right side, you have kill the dragon, in the middle you have train the dragon, and on the left side you have fuck the dragon. And the reason I say train is in the middle is because you're still engaging with this thing, but to a less satisfying level, a less giving yourself over level, for the approval of people who hate you. I think in outcast nature, there's a fascination with things you don't understand. And when I was a kid, I and a few of my friends were things we considered gateway friends. As in, unpopular people would befriend us, be our friends for a little while, and then they would rise into popularity. Gateway friends. And I'm wondering if outcasts don't serve a similar purpose here, as in, except you're a gateway more for outsiders who are trying to get inside for whatever reason. But in any case, you're defined by transience and ephemerality in terms of your connections with other people, usually. And if inside is this structured place you need to fit in exactly, but if you do, you exist within this framework of structure, even though that's false, it is a way you can live comfortably, serve your sentence comfortably, if you fit in naturally. And in this outside state, it's a place of chaos. There's very little consistency to hold on to. But you need to wonder if there is another inside somewhere deep in the outside. She got it completely right. I am helplessly attracted to women I don't understand on a basic level. And I'm wondering if I'm sure Enneagram plays a big role in relationships. But I think when you're engaging with these outsider women or men, this all feels primordial. As in, if you're an outcast, if you're put in the outcast position, you naturally start trying to synthesize gold or refine uranium. You can't help it. This is the nature of the position you've been put in. But you won't peak until you fuck a dragon and you become a magician or a hierophant. And that's another thing. I think for outcasts, you become one or the other. And another key thing to remember is I don't think either of these archetypes are, quotes, good people. The magician is a douche because he's synthesized gold. He comes back inside. He's allowed back inside because now he can pay for it with all this shit. The issue is he's still an outcast, and once he's outlived his usefulness, he'll be thrown straight back out to the cold or killed. Because he's still, even though he's valuable enough to be inside for right now, he's making no changes to what it means to be an insider. Or no, maybe you are, but those changes are painfully minor. And they happen over time spans longer than your lifetime. Meaning you, in all ways, you have benefited normality, you've benefited the inside, and you'll still be treated like a dirty outsider once you've outlived your usefulness in your time span. Magician's a douche. Feels super happy and confident that he's been allowed back inside, not realizing the precarious position he holds. Versus hierophants. Hierophants are assholes and douchebags. And there's a difference. I don't know how to describe the difference, but you can feel it between calling someone a douche and calling someone a douchebag. Hierophants are the latter. They've succeeded in making a friend of horror, of building a home for themselves outside, maybe among outsiders, while still really being an outcast, someone who originated inside. And they're most defined by the knowledge they will never be accepted back inside. Even if they get back inside the way the magician does, the magician thinks he's been accepted. He is now an insider, and he isn't. The hierophant knows he isn't, and never would be. And that makes him as powerful as he is spiteful. Because see, what the magician does is the magician achieves a level of power, goes back inside, and then promptly loses it. The hierophant stays outside and develops that same level of power and then goes further beyond, but he's able to go further beyond because he knows he won't go back inside. But because he's still originated as an insider, the more, or the higher he reaches on the power scale, the more human negativity comes with that. Both because insiders would hate seeing this. The more powerful one of these things becomes without them, the more they hate it. And that hatred has an effect on the hierophant. Hence the increasing levels of reactive hatred. Because the inside is like a mouth, eating anything and everything that doesn't fit exactly what it wants. And this is the essence of the second part of the video. But with these outsiders who are trying to get inside, maybe this is a 40K situation with the Emperor of Mankind being his own chaos god. As in, it's not inside versus outside as if this is the binary. What we view as this tremendous inside is actually just another outsider in the outside. It's just gotten a lot larger. And what you're doing when you and dragons are summoned to try to figure out how to fuck one another is you are trying to figure out how to build, are being called to figure out how to build a different inside. They have the natural resources. You have the architectural ability. I accidentally just shot a pebble of snuff up into my left nostril, and my body is reacting. Fortunately, it was the less intense snuff, so it wasn't as bad as it probably would have been otherwise. And I know why people are so excited or these outcast people are so excited to become magicians like Merlin, who get burned alive by the insiders like witches, why they're so excited to do that. It's because they've been brainwashed to be that way, because it benefits the system. That's why you have Merlins, that's why you have these hiccup characters. You're trained to think, after all this shit, the most you can hope for, the most you can ever aspire to, is to give the gold you fought hard alone to get to the people who hate you. And after you do that, everything will be totally and completely fine. And that's not the case. I mean, I think about this sometimes. I've had this thought in my mind for probably over 6 years, and it resurfaces every now and again. I'd rather be a badass single-celled organism than be one cell in a multicellular organism that can and will get consumed the moment the mob decides it's necessary. You won't reach the same heights as a single-celled organism, but they will be your heights. Now, the funny thing, of course, is you're a multicellular organism, whether you're single-celled or multicellular, but that's getting to a scale we really don't have a hard grasp on yet. All this to say, I'm trying to understand the position I've been put in. Why am I attracted to these sorts of people? Why do things always happen almost exactly the same ways? To be fair, every time this happens, the outcome gets a little better, and that's why I think you don't want to escape the challenge, you want to resolve it. And then at the same time, what do you want to do with that once you've resolved it? I lean more in the MSF direction. Let's build a different inside. And that's another thing, is I'm watching this How to Train Your Dragon movie, and all these scenes with the humans are awful. And maybe this is a soft disclosure movie, because it's exactly the way people are. Everyone will fight you and hate you and demean you, make you weaker, up until the point you can show them what you have, what you've found on your own. Then they're your buddies. And fuck that. Fuck all of them. And I'm sitting here thinking about this more generally. This movie is Jung'd TF up the Night Fury. It's the deadliest thing. It's so fast and attacks in the night. You can't even see it. Obviously, that's the shadow. You're building a relationship with your shadow. And you do end up going out and slaying a dragon anyway. Except the difference is the lie. The fantasy is, at the end, these people are not going to embrace this fire you've given them. They'll use it insofar as they need to, and maybe they'll even fully embrace the fire. Use it. But the thing is, they will still hate and fear and disrespect and demean your nature that got them this fire. How long do you intend to spend your life slaving for people who will never care about you? Never even bother to try to understand you? People who can't see your value even after you've shown them. Fuck all of that. And I've been thinking a lot about Morrowind again recently, too. You are not the Nerevarine. You're one who could become the Nerevarine. What you were born with or grew into was an opportunity. And this is a distinct higher opportunity, but it isn't guaranteed. Probably you'll fail. But now that it's here, if you don't seek the prophecy, then I think you'll live your entire life in regret, which is what happens anytime you ignore or repress your nature. But we'll cut it here. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.